It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. And this Feedback Friday, we're talking about what is masking? What is neurodivergent masking? Somebody asked in the comments to Wednesday's video, and it's like, this is actually like important. It can actually help people about it. Because I thought this was something that was common knowledge. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the circles I run in. Let's do the help support this channel. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Blah. I do have a new person who has reached out who cannot afford services. So I'm going to bump up the new goal to 7 instead of 6, because this is somebody who needs support sooner as opposed to later. So thank you for the people who after Wednesday's video chipped in. Greatly appreciated. Okay, I really do appreciate that people don't have to do this. I'm glad that they choose to. So what masking is when neurodivergent people consciously or unconsciously suppress behaviors to appear neurotypical. The big thing that I tend to have to suppress is fidgeting. I tend to like to go, wee, swingy chair, or when I listen, and I listen for a living, sitting still makes it hard to listen. This may sound insane, but it's true. So there's different techniques I have. I doodle sometimes. I do like leafy things. This is what like halfway through. So I'll like do, for some odd reason, like branches help me think. Sometimes I'll put images up on the monitor so that I can listen to people better. The worst is when there's like flashes in the images. It's like shit. But yeah, it is a it can make me appear distracted, but it's not. And when I am in meetings, it's very hard because I used to always get shit for fidgeting, like my leg would go or something like that in meetings. My feet constantly move. And I would get in trouble for that because I was annoying. And it's like, what? It's not making any noise. It's under the table. But I had to stop doing that. And the problem is when you're consciously thinking about not moving something, that is a part of your brain that is not paying attention to the primary focus. Intense masking means increased anxiety, depression, burnout, a disconnect with who you are, getting a sense you know who you are and what you stand for. That is something I definitely experienced in the past. It limits people's ability to live up to their potential if they are masking too much. And so there's a difference between, learning strategies that help you work better and masking. Masking is purely a social thing. And so the trade-off, like why do this thing that has such negative impact? Well, social inclusion, right? Social inclusion is a sense of belonging. But I think the sense of belonging can backfire because if people don't really know you, if you're constantly having to not do things that feel natural, do you really feel accepted? And I think that there has to be more of a balance than there is in the world right now. There are differences between behaviors that are a problem. And, masking. So, for instance, when people use ADHD as an excuse to not pay their bills. Yeah, I had to deal with that lately. But also, one person says, I'm too neurodivergent. I'm blunt. So I just treat men and women equally because that's what feminism wants. Somebody actually said in the comments this week, I said, okay, so that's, just you being rude and other people have to deal with it. And, you're not putting in the effort to be better. And he took his toys and went home. He quit. I don't know. There might be a comment now, but it's that's it. Fine. I'm gone. And it's okay. Verbal masking is a thing. I have learned, and I don't find this, sometimes it's a challenge. Other times it's not. Sometimes I have to just not say an issue I have with someone's, the way they talk. I have a big issue with, I feel that you, and, it's one thing if it's a verbal tick or where they're saying I feel when they really mean I think. But if I feel that you are wrong, well, I don't agree that I'm wrong because data backs me up. Well, it's just the way I feel. No, it's not. And I sometimes have to shut my mouth about that. That's not masking. Masking is the fact that I tend to say things in a blunt way. I tend to try to use as few words as possible to say something. So it'll be I need you to stop that, please. People find that blunt. So I have to say, can you just tone that down? That's not what I really want to say. And people put these, it's a little bit loud. No, it's really loud, right? Not having the social niceties is not completely masking. Some of it's learned. But it is very tiring to have to communicate in a different dialect than what feels like it makes sense to you. To me, masking feels dishonest at times when, I'd rather just come out with it and I have to tiptoe around it and go, I know you mean well, and I think that you are trying to help. And I understand you're very excited is a sincere statement. That part's not masking. That's real. But the big preamble to, I need you to stop doing that so the other person won't freak out, that can get very exhausting. And I personally don't need that. I'd rather something be clear. And neurotypicals have this thing where they say one thing, actually mean another, and expect you to figure that out. And they can't even do that with each other. And it's that makes no fucking sense. And in that case, I actually think that it's better to talk more like an autistic person. Say what you mean and mean what you say. This shit about not going, saying, oh yeah, I'll come to your event. You had no intention of going. You just, it's polite to say, yes, you'll go, instead of, I can't, I'm busy that day. I much prefer, if someone is busy, tell me you're busy. Or if somebody doesn't like a particular activity, please tell me, I'll stop inviting you. But apparently, no, you're supposed to be nice. And okay, I will go so far. But I have to balance being polite and feeling like I am actually communicating. And it is extremely hard when it comes to business stuff. The number of work things where it's somebody and it's their job and I'm project lead and I'm like, okay, I need you to just do this, please. And I get a how dare you response. I was like, fuck, here we go. And you do get from management sometimes, well, you weren't nice enough. And it's like, this is their fourth reminder. Why is nice a requirement? Well, they're going to quit. And that's when I go, okay, I'm going to quit. See ya. Because that's basically telling me that they matter and I don't. And I hate being handled that way. I hate it. When I get the sense that somebody isn't telling me something, I'm somebody where I work best if people identify problems as soon as possible so we can address them when it's small. The sooner you go, look, this isn't working. And I actually had somebody say to me this week, it was high praise, like, because a lot of the work I do in the mental health space is very much, well, no one's done this before. Maybe there's a reason people don't do it, but let's try it. And the person said, yeah, but when something's not working, you change it. I'm like, yay, I feel seen. It was a good compliment. And like, that's like, yeah, that's really, really important to me. And it's really funny because the insult people throw at me is I can't handle criticism and, I can't admit I'm wrong. And it's like, no, people that work much closer with me, no, yeah, if something's not working, fuck it, change it. I mean, shit, my own wedding, I wanted green bridesmaids dresses, and the first bridesmaid came out of change room, and the nice emerald, like forest green. I picked because I like the color. It looked like dog shit on her. And I'm like, fuck it, we're switching to navy. Like, it was just instant. Like, that looks bad. Next. And I wanted to see how it looked on, and a lot of people would go, too bad it's the color, you're wearing it. But I'm like, nope, that looks like shit. Changing. It's so strange that people, and I realize that handle criticism is often used as an abuse tactic, especially online. Not all criticism is created equal, and I find it very funny when the Mr. I'm blunts of the world can't handle a blunt statement of, yeah, okay, so you're being rude and expecting everybody else to just deal with it. Oh, that's it, I'm out. Oh, so you can dish it out, but you can't take it, Mr. Blunt. Well, then, maybe the problem isn't that you're blunt. And I can't stand these people who excuse bad behavior with equality. Well, I treat men that way too. Well, then you're being an asshole to men too. Stop it, asshole. See, that's blunt. And I do get in trouble for that because, like, that's name calling. It's like, well, he's being an asshole. I call it the way I see it. I'm not saying he's a terrible person overall, just right there. That's a fucking excuse. That's an excuse is blunt. That's an excuse, you lazy piece of shit, is rude and insulting. There is a difference. And everybody has to mask to an extent. You have to be conscious of your words in order to be persuasive. And then there's times where it's just like, there's been a lot of I am exhausted by socialization this week. Holy shit. It's been these things where people will speak out of turn and communicate inaccurately, and then people get upset, and I, go scream into a pillow type thing, because I have to go, okay, let's solve the problem, but I'm pissed off. I'm frustrated, because if everyone had just stopped and made sure they were communicating accurately, this huge chain reaction blow up wouldn't have fucking happened. But it did. And that's being diplomatic, My tendency to, I used to twist my hair I used to bite my nails, and breaking those habits is really tough. Like, you guys can't see my feet going under the table while I'm making these videos. My feet constantly move. And when I have to stop that, that's a problem. And apparently it was interesting because when I'm having this dental work done, I'm getting these lower teeth fixed, and it's expensive. $4,000. Hey, yay. But you know, they said when they put the molds in your mouth for stuff, they say wiggle your feet. And I'm like, I wonder if it's a pain cope, because you know, that was when they're like, oh, you control your gag reflex very well. It's like, don't make a joke. You know. And if I think about not moving my feet, yeah, it feels instantly uncomfortable, right? It's like, oh my God, I feel blind or something like that. It's so strange that when you have to focus controlling an impulse. I mean, I guess that's why I like tap dancing so much as a kid, because stompy feet, right? Flap, flap, step, ball change, right? Yeah, shovel, pick up, wings, good stuff, right? And you have to control that. And that is, it is extra resources, which means the spoons you have on a given day more devoted into masking that behavior than other things you can be doing. And that's why I really push back on the annoying thing. And when I ask someone to change a behavior, I have to make sure, because I know that's a big ask. And I know they don't have to. They can tell me to fuck off. And when I ask them to change a behavior, this is why, right? Usually it's because I don't know what to do with it. Like, I need additional information. Like I said to one person recently, please don't tell me you just don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Please suggest a new topic to discuss, because the conversation stops dead. And it's, you know, if you don't want to talk about it anymore, what do you want to talk about? And the person didn't take it super well, but he took it. So, you know, it's a partial win. And that's the thing about peer counseling. I'm not asking anybody to do anything I don't do. I know it's hard at first. There is a difference between masking and a legitimate behavioral change. Certain communication things, like stating your intent at the beginning of a communication. So, you know, it's like asking, not telling, because I tend to say things in statements, because I say, asking, not telling here, this. That is not a mask. That is legitimate. That is an authentic communication. A mask is something you're doing that is conscious and artificial, and a lot of the times you're not sure. I don't know why me circling my ankles bothers people. I really don't. I don't know why a slight, like, fidget like this, which is what I naturally do, especially in swivel chairs, because it's fun. You know, if I did what I really wanted to do, I'd just spin around in the chair like, wee, like, all the time, because that is what I want to do. So it's just a little bit of this, right? Like a little bit of this, like a cat getting ready to pounce on something. And I don't know why that's irritating to people. It doesn't make sense to me that would bother people as much as it does. All I know is that it does, and so I have to try to stop it. It was a real challenge going from theater to, like, TV and film for me at first, because theater is big movements. Like, a lot of the time you're given choreography, you're told how to stand, you're told where to stand. And so then it's more dance, then it's deliberate, then you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing with your body. It's part of your job. But with TV and film, like the extreme close-up, you go from having your entire body to just having this, and you can't even move. Like, okay, I can do this. Like, okay, yeah. But you can't even do that because then it moves the shot. You can't do that because it affects the shot. You have to be like, oh my God, I have to not move. Like when I can't move, all of a sudden I can't talk. Why? It's something to get used to. It is very inhibiting, and it is a skill. Now I can do it because it took a lot of practice. And, you know, neurodivergent actors, I think, you know, maybe that's why I wasn't diagnosed, because I was put into performing. Like my mother put me into performing because I was so shy. And you can be both shy, introverted, and neurodivergent. But yeah, it is constraining. And I think that an understanding that masking takes energy, masking takes spoons, is an important thing to consider when it comes to, you know, neurotypical people. Are you really bothered by a person's fidget? It's like, does the chair squeak? Like, okay, that I can understand. Noise can be distracting. If I'm recording a podcast, yeah, I have to not squeak. Sometimes it happens anyway. But is it really a problem, or are you just uncomfortable with difference? And if it really is a problem, okay. But there has to be an understanding that both people have to be exercising a certain amount of distress tolerance. You can't expect the neurodivergent person to be doing all the work. That's why it's important to understand. It's also important to understand what masking is and what masking isn't. Politeness isn't masking to a point, right? Understanding that, you know, not wanting to upset people, because I ran it by the whole blunt thing, and every autistic person was like, no, that's code for rudeness. So, you know, most autistic people are over polite because they know they're socially awkward and they know they can come off as rude, so they overcompensate. That's something to keep in mind. So if somebody's over apologizing, like if somebody's a groveling apology, I will say, you don't have to do that. It's okay. I appreciate it, but it's okay. I don't need that. And they, you know, the nice thing about autistic people is, yeah, they will do exactly what you tell them. And I love it because it's like, hey, do you want to help me move this couch? No. I'll start laughing because it's like, okay, you answered the question I asked. Will you help me move this couch? Yes. It makes you a better communicator. It makes you a more precise speaker. And I really wonder if a lot of this neurotypical stuff is not ideal. And moving things more into the center will be better for everybody. Personally, it's still not an excuse for rudeness. And I'm equal opportunity blunt in the name of equality. Hey, consider that guys think you're an asshole too, and they just aren't telling you, because that's man masking, right? Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm not upset. Yeah, you are. You just think you're not allowed to be. And the problem is that you do that long enough and it does become unconscious. And you do lose yourself. And then you get anxious and depressed and you start driving people away and you end up very, very lonely. Loneliness isn't as much about the number of friends you have as feeling like you belong in, you know, the groups you are a part of. And you can't feel like you belong if nobody sees at least a part of the real you. The important parts, the parts that make you feel validated. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for stomach use but can't afford it. Thank you for the support this week. Please keep it coming again. There's another client that needs support. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.